What is up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are already part of my family, thank you so much for joining me here once again. Y'all know I appreciate you and your support. For those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Kiara Selena. I am a licensed practical nurse, and on my channel, I mainly talk about health and nursing, but we also do a bit of beauty, vlogging, and lifestyle. So if you're into any of those things, consider joining my family by banging on that beautiful red subscribe button down below. And don't forget to turn on your notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever I post future content. So in today's video, as mentioned in the title, I'm going to be talking about all the jobs that I worked before becoming a nurse, as well as the salary that I made doing those jobs. Now, this video is inspired by Mickey Ray's video. I think that is her name. She is also a nurse. She made this video. I thought it was really creative. I don't really see much people making videos like that. And a lot of people have been telling me to get a little more personal. So I think this video is pretty personal. I think it's gonna let you kind of in on my past so that you can kind of know where I came from before I became a nurse. So if you're interested, stay tuned. So the first job I worked at was what we call Pharmaprix here in Montreal. In the rest of Canada, you would call it Shoppers or Shoppers Drug Mart. And I guess in the States, that would be kind of the equivalent of like a CVS, right? So it was basically a pharmacy / one-stop shop where you can get a whole bunch of other stuff. My main job there was to work as a cashier. So I was cashing people out, scanning lottery tickets, things like that. Y'all know what cashiers do. But I also did work in stock sometimes. So whenever we got new stock, I would go downstairs with the stock guys. We would scan the products, put them into the system, come back up and put them on the shelves. But I didn't really do too much of that. I only did that when like someone called off and whatever, but I didn't really do too much of that. So I would pretty much go to school from like 9 to from 8 to 3. I think we finished school around 3. And I would do a shift from 5 to 9. So I used to do that 2 days a week, like 2 5 to 9s, and then I would do 8 to 4s on the weekend. And that's pretty much what I did. That was my first job when I was 15 years old. And at the time I was making $10 an hour, which to me, I thought was a lot of money. I thought I was balling, but at 15 years old, $10 an hour is not so bad. You know, I was making, like, after taxes, I think I was making like $300 paychecks. And that was enough to do what I had to do back then, you know, to go out with my friends, go to the movies, go grab pizza and stuff like that. So that was the very, very first job that I did. And I did that I worked at Shoppers for 2 years, so from the age of 15 to like 17-ish, but I worked at 3 different branches. I don't know if I said that before, but if I didn't, yeah, I worked at 3 different branches and I was there for about 2.5 months. The next job I did was Tim Hortons, which y'all know we love our Timmys in Canada. I guess the equivalent to Tim Hortons in the States would be like a Dunkin' Donuts. I was once again a cashier / barista, I guess, because I was cashing, but I was also the one who had to prepare the coffees, prepare the smoothies, prepare the ice caps. You know, sometimes I would work at the salad bar and make sandwiches, which I hated working at the salad bar because you're right next to the oven. The oven is so hot. You're working there dead in the middle of the summer. Like, I was there when it was 30 degrees outside, Celsius, 30 degrees Celsius. I think that's like 90 something Fahrenheit. Pretty freaking hot, standing next to the oven all day long, sweating, making sandwiches. People are cursing you out because you didn't put cheese. People are cursing you out because you put lettuce when they said they didn't want it. It is just so stressful, especially in the summertime. We had like all the summer camp kids coming to us, and sometimes you had like an order of 30 smoothies at the same time, and then you have the people behind those students who are behind the camp kids, you know, complaining because they want their coffee right now, and it was just trash. I was making $10.25 there an hour as well, but we did get tips, and on average I got like $15 to $30 tip every single day. On the weekends were better days, so we would get like more in the 30s. Basically we would get the tips and we would split them between all the people who worked that day. So those were, yeah, and during the week we got like pretty much, yeah, about $15 tip a day. I didn't have like a fixed schedule with that job. I kind of just, I think I did like 3 days a week, and then sometimes they would call me in if they needed me, and it was really convenient because it was literally a 5-minute walk from my house. So I did that. I think I was there for a month, and then I was gone. I was out of there. Somebody actually called me the N-word, and that was the day I blew up, threw hot coffee in his face, legit, not lying, and walked out. No, I did not get in trouble for that. he deserved it. And the cops agreed. The next job I did is a kind of a funny job. Well, it's not a funny job, but I don't really hear this title too much, but I was working as a patient advocate representative. And for those of you who don't know what that is, basically I was working for an American pharmacy. For those of you who don't know, I do live in Canada, but I was working for an American pharmacy that had different branches throughout America. And you guys know those commercials that you guys see on, you know, the TV for medications. So basically people would call in and request those medications. I wasn't the one who was taking the requests, but somebody else was taking the request for the medications. And you know, if ever someone wanted to try a new medication or anything like that they saw on TV. And my job was basically to get their information, get their doctor's information, and to call their provider and get a verbal authorization for that medication. And the doctor would either give a verbal authorization or decline the verbal, or not prescribe the medication. If I got a verbal, we would get bonuses, you would get like all types of stuff. And I was making pretty good money, I would say. I think I started when I was like 17 going on 18, and I was making $14.50 an hour doing that job. I was working 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. So 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And I think like after taxes, I was making like maybe $750, $800 paychecks. Actually, it was more around like $725, but with the bonuses, I would get like around $800 every 2 weeks, which for me at 17 was also not bad. Ask me where all that money went. I have no idea. The next job I worked was at a call center for a phone company. The phone company I was working for was Rogers. That is one of the phone companies we have here in Montreal. And basically my job was to freaking harass people. Okay, I hated that job so much. Not only was the environment just so dark, this is not throwing shade at Rogers, because this was actually a call center that had different sections for different phone companies. So I wasn't necessarily working directly for Rogers, but I was on the Rogers team. You had people with Fido, you had people with other companies as well. But my team was the Rogers/Fido team. And I don't know, the place looked like a dungeon. It was very dark. You know, I basically had to call people, thank them for people who basically just joined, you know, or just got a plan with Rogers, and I had to call them and thank them for, you know, joining Rogers and choosing Rogers or whatever. And then I had to try to get them I basically had to try to upsell them, you know, like, oh, you have 10 gigabytes of data for an extra $7 a month. You can get, you know, 16 gigs of data. And then every time they would decline an offer, there was a rebuttal. And I was literally on the phone for 40 minutes trying to convince people to buy things that they were repeatedly telling me they didn't want. And you had the people who were nice enough to stay and listen, and they would kindly decline, and I had to keep rebuttaling. And you have somebody listening to you to make sure that you're doing your stuff right. So you had to do it. And then you also had the rude people who would just straight up curse you out, and then you would have the people who would hang up on you. And that job was just so whack. Like, it was so whack. It was so depressing, because I know that I don't like to be harassed by these phone companies. So doing that to other people kind of just made me feel away. Yeah. The salary for that job was $13.25, but I got the salary for that job was $13.25, but I got $13.75 because I am French. So if you were bilingual and able to do the scripts in both languages, you got an extra 50 cents an hour. So that's what I did. I was doing that job 2 days a week. 2 days during the week. I think I was doing like also 5 to 9, 2 days a week during like from Monday to Friday. I think I was doing like Tuesdays and like Thursdays, and then I did 1 day on the weekend from 8 to 4. I did that job for literally 2 weeks, and then I was out. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I got to go. Goodbye. It was just so depressing. The next job I did was I worked as a home health care aide. This is what I started doing when I got into nursing school. So I was doing home care. Basically the same thing as working as a CNA. So I was helping people with their basic nursing needs, their activities of daily living, and I was doing it at home, at their home. Sometimes I'd have to bathe them. Sometimes I would just have to go and sit and keep them company all day. We'd watch TV, we would play games and things like that. I wasn't really making a lot doing that either. I think I was making about $13 an hour, but I did have some benefits. So for me, it felt like somewhat of an upgrade. Even though I was making more at the pharmacy call center, I didn't have any benefits or anything like that then. So when I got into home health care and I had, like insurance and, the benefits started going up, I started feeling a little better. I did not do that for long. I was there for a month before I got an actual CNA job. At a hospital. I worked at a long-term care facility as well as a hospital. So for those of you who don't know what a CNA is, it is a certified nursing assistant. Once again, it's basically the same thing as a home health care aide, except that you're doing it in a facility as opposed to going to their house, and you are helping them with their daily activities of daily living. So you were helping them with feeding, you were helping them dress and undress, you were helping them with ambulation, you were helping them go to the bathroom, just basic nursing stuff like that. When I was working in the nursing home, I was making about $14.25 an hour, which I actually made a video on. And then when I got to the hospital, I actually started off with $19.86. So I was making $19.86 working as a CNA an hour with excellent benefits because I was working for one of the biggest healthcare centers in Canada. So that was pretty amazing. And then I became a nurse. I became an LPN, and I've been working as an LPN for I think I've been licensed for about 7 months now, so it really has not been that long. Before I became licensed, I was working as a pending licensed nurse, which means, you passed the entire nursing program, you just haven't written your board yet. And I was making a little less than I'm making now that I am actually licensed. So if you guys want to know how much nurses make or how much I make, I will also leave a link to that video down in the description section. Anyways, guys, that is it for all the jobs that I worked before becoming a nurse. I hope that this gives you kind of a good insight on my past and kind of, where I came from before I became a nurse. I really hope I allowed you to get to know me better, I guess. And if you guys have any other video suggestions for me, leave them down below because sometimes I run out of inspiration. But that is it for the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like and share. And if you are not yet part of my family, consider doing so by banging on that subscribe button. And don't forget to turn on your notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever I post future content. I really hope to see you all in my next one. Bye.